Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp. My name is Glenn and today we have a review of Creature in the Well for you, written by a friend of the channel, Chicken Perm, so thank you very much to you. Right, let's get straight into the review. Action adventure games, sports RPGs, roguelike Metroidvanias. Once we think we've come up with all possible combinations of video game genres, something like Creature in the Well from Flight School Studio comes along and puts a whole new spin, or should I say pin, on games. A dungeon crawler that crosses hack and slashing, puzzle solving with pinball gameplay justly depicts this original indie. The game trailer created a lot of buzz purely based on the visuals and the preview of the gameplay. Does this game pull it off? Well, thank you to the developers for the review copy, and now, let's find out. The desert mountainside village of Mirage has been engulfed in a sandstorm for over a century, with no power because of an enormous creature. The last remaining Bot C unit takes it upon itself to gain back control and reactivate the ancient monolith machines at the heart of the mountain. An awfully mysterious scene has been set up. Where did the ancient apparatuses come from? What do the dormant machines do? Why is the creature so hell-bent on keeping the machines offline? There is only one way to retake the mountains and save Mirage, and that is to navigate 8 dungeons to power up their reactors with electricity. Not only are the cores offline, but even the doors that allow access from room to room are down too. Bot C can collect electric charge that is essentially the game's form of currency. The charge can be spent on opening doors and upgrading your bot core. How do you collect your charge though? Well, this is where Creature in the Well really breaks the mould of anything else I'd played or even seen before. If you have ever wanted to or already have mastered mathematics and angles, then this is certainly the game for you. White orbs are generated in rooms that are waiting for someone to come along and give them a good whack. Bot C wields 2 different weapons. One will gather the orbs and give them an extra charge for more power, and the other propels them outward for ricocheting madness. Some weapons are there for novelty, like a wooden spoon or a frying pan, but other hidden ones have extra perks, like the ability to heal you or provide a laser sight to see where the orbs will go. Just about every room has pinball board like bumpers and bouncers. Every time the orbs hit into one of them, a gauge fills, and upon filling it, the bumper retracts into the floor. Once all of the bumpers in a room have been cleared, a circular bumper with a magnetic pull will pop up and provide for a large amount of charge to collect. The magnetic bumper will provide the vast majority of your charge, but all of the normal bumpers provide additional charge for you to collect as well. To be fair, this is an oversimplification of the rooms because they are not as easy as just described. Some rooms can only be cleared by knocking down bumpers in a specific order and short time limit, whilst other rooms have pillars that attack if an orb hits them, guns that shoot damaging orbs of their own, and bumpers that have ground lasers. In a nutshell, the more difficult the room is to clear, the larger charge reward is to be had. There are even hidden paths that can be unlocked after clearing certain rooms. One aspect that the creators implemented that I thought was a smart move on their part is that clearing a room is not necessary if you do have enough charge already saved up to open the next door. So if a player is stuck on a puzzle, they do not need to give up on the game and can still progress. Once the end of a dungeon has been reached, the creature will pull you down into the mountain's depths for one last trial before reaching the reactor room to activate a monolith. Each reactor room has 4 different log notes that provide backstory details for the game to read if they choose to do so. The robot does have a health bar that can only be restored by standing in, well, what looks like white goo. These pools can only be found right before a boss fight at the end of a dungeon and in the mountain's main hub. If you do die, then the creature will snatch you up and toss you up into the village's well. From there, the player has to travel back into the mountain, then back through the dungeon to the point of passing. It is not too long of a way, but it can get pretty annoying because of the lack of places to heal. Right before a boss room, you can activate a portal that allows you to get to the boss room from the first room of the dungeon, a bit like in some of the Legend of Zelda games. And this of course makes it a bit easier to get back to a boss battle if you die during one of these. Even with this mechanic though, it can still be a bit frustrating not to be able to just get straight into the action, and it does slow the game down to an extent. Personally, I also felt the game's puzzles within the rooms were repeated a little too often, and gameplay did start to get a bit stale by the end, although it cannot be denied that the creators successfully generated a fresh working playstyle. The initial gameplay mechanic is certainly unique and is used well for the most part, although it does start to become stale at the end as mentioned already, and the backtracking to the dungeons should you die is also a bit frustrating, but on the whole, gameplay receives 17 out of 20. The controls in Creature in the Well are fairly simple. You move with the left stick, pressing B to dash or holding it to sprint. Y will use your charge weapon and X uses your striking weapon, sending your orbs into action. A is your interact button, and using the right stick will allow you to aim your shots. Overall, these controls work well, but I did find a few issues. The first one was the aiming. It wasn't bad, it just felt a little more inaccurate than it should have been. I've enjoyed plenty of games that require the player to use precise angling in order to be successful, and this title did not do it as well as I would have liked. Secondly, I found the dash to not be very responsive. One particular example of the dash is getting out of the range attack the pillars do. When an orb hits them, they make a circle on the ground, and you have to get out of that area quickly to avoid taking damage. Often at those times you will be charging up orbs, and to dash out of the way of these attacks at the same time didn't work well enough for me. Nearly every single death I had was from one of these pillars, so perhaps I just have a grudge against them and others will not find this as much of an issue. Either way, both of these are minor issues, and in general Flight School Studios were successful once again in this respect. Controls receive 17 out of 20. Simply put, Creature in the Well is an exquisite looking game. There have been some fantastic looking Switch games so far, the beautiful pixel art of Shakedown Hawaii, the hand-drawn brilliance of Cuphead, or the technical marvel of Wolfenstein 2, but nothing that I can recall looks quite like Creature in the Well. The way that black is juxtaposed against bright neon colours, it almost looks as if it's been created using pastels on a piece of black sugar paper. It has a rawness about it, but an elegance at the same time. In some ways it has the look of legendary artist Andy Warhol in respect of the aforementioned use of neon colours, and was reminiscent of work by Roy Lichtenstein. The tonal shift that the colours represent is another highlight, from the almost suffocating oranges displaying the impending sandstorm to the dank and dingy greens as you make your way further into the dungeons. Striking and vibrant, I highly commend the artist behind this game that had the foresight and the bravery to go against the grain and create something that looks truly unique. This of course brings us to the audio. The game up until this point has done a fantastic job of building suspense, creating a world that was fascinating but at the same time creepy. The eyes in the dark, a plot shrouded in mystery, an interesting setting and a beautiful art style. Now whilst the audio does its best to further add to this atmosphere and completely succeeds at times, I must say it's not always as strong as the game's other components. Some parts are beautiful, the soft and melancholy piano keys portraying the feeling of loneliness very well. But it's not always quite as memorable. What I will say is that it's completely appropriate, it just falls a little too far into support act territory. The sound effects all work well and certainly nail the pinball theme. Visuals are unique, bold and imposing and achieve what the game is aiming for perfectly, therefore they receive the full 20 out of 20. Audio on the other hand certainly has some high points but never quite achieves the same majesty and scores 14 out of 20. Creature in the Well costs £13.49 or $14.99 and can be beat in less than 4 hours, which is a little disappointing on the one hand, but on the other it doesn't outstay its welcome. When you consider a game like Okami on the eShop goes for just a bit higher than this price, that game backs up its original art style and solid gameplay with around 30 hours of playtime. I know these are completely different games, but I'm just offering something else up to give you some sort of perspective when assessing value. I would say that whenever Creature in the Well goes on sale, it is an absolute must own on the Switch, and it scores 15 out of 20. To conclude, Creature in the Well offers unique gameplay, a beautiful art style and an intriguing story. Its mechanics do start to become a little stale after a while, and its short run through is disappointing, but I highly commend the developers for trying to achieve something different. Creature in the Well gets a SwitchUp score of 83%. Thank you everybody for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. Many thanks to Chicken Perm for writing it for us. please do remember to leave a like and give him a positive comment down below. That would be much appreciated. A quick thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.